Well, I too thought that perhaps the U.S. wouldn't be so transparent. You know, the president said he'd look at a time of his choosing and there would be some type of proportionate response. But I think that many of the competing theories that were raised in your piece are absolutely right on the money, including the fact that North Korea may have disconnected themselves, either preemptively to prevent that movie from being distributed, but also probably more likely in a defensive posture.
Well, let's take a look at some of these maps that I find fascinating. One of the Korean peninsula, where we see the internet connectivity for South Korea, and then we see, and it has many connections, of course, underwater fiber optic cables and the rest of it, allowing it to connect to the internet. And then North Korea with just one single connection. So it shouldn't be too difficult to shut it down, right? Because there's such limited activity.
Right. The North Korean infrastructure is relatively primitive. Certainly compared to much of the rest of the civilized world. So when you say that the entire country was without internet, that's a relative statement. It's a relatively limited connectivity to begin with.
It has 1,024 IP addresses, according to numbers compiled by CNN Money. I mean, I think I have 4, if you count all my devices.
And you know, in the U.S., there are billions.
Yeah, 1.5 billion apparently. But okay, so if it's so rudimentary, then I mean, if it's so rare for a North Korean connectivity to take place anyway because of the number of IP addresses and how low connectivity is, how could they mount a sophisticated attack on Sony Pictures if it is them?
Honestly, that type of attack is being launched not in a destructive way, but breaches onto networks. Those are occurring every single day, not only in the United States, but globally. And, you know, because networks are so broad, commercial networks particularly, the ease in which people, hackers, whether it be nation state, organized crime groups, or others, the ease in which they can get onto those networks is relatively simple. And conducting this type of destructive attack, some of those tools are tools that can be downloaded, or tools very similar, downloaded right off the internet. So it was not as sophisticated as you may think. Regardless, the North Koreans have the capability, and they can launch those attacks from anywhere their operatives are. It does not have to be from within the confines of North Korea.